Good evening, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 3 of the SSRi GT3 series here at the fantastic Indianapolis Motor Speedway. My name is Ryan Walker, and alongside me calling the accent tonight will be Dave Hedges, with Tom Van der Meer doing the cameras in the background. And first off, Dave, Indianapolis, what a fantastic track and one of my favourites to lap around. And looking forward to this 90-minute race around here tonight, which should be a good one.
Good evening, Ryan. Good evening, everybody. Yes, it's going to be an awesome race, I think. Iconic track. Obviously, the road layout is a bit different to what we see in IndyCar, but nonetheless, it's challenging with some very, very tight corners in it. Especially into turn 1, turn 12. And we should see some excellent racing, and obviously a really wide back straight as well into turn 7, and then obviously on to the main pit straight. But it's going to be interesting to see how well they do in terms of first lap for sure. I think it's going to be pretty tricky over the first couple of laps. It's going to be tight, especially on the first lap. So let's hopefully everyone behaves, and obviously it's looking like it could be a tad damp this evening as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to mention that we're in qualifying at the moment, and there is some rain and falling in the air right now, and also the track's damp, like you mentioned. So on lap 1, if the track is wet and it's raining and there's loads of cars heading down to turn 1, there could be a bit of mayhem, but hopefully everyone's sensible and doesn't do anything too silly on lap 1. But as we're in the middle of qualifying at the moment, we'll go through a bit of a recap from the season so far after the 2 rounds. So the man at the moment is informed as Jonathan Seville, who's took both wins in round 1 and 2. So pretty much the form man, but the people are waiting in the wings, such as Regan Mitchell and Clayton Barnett, could possibly be waiting in the wings, and hopefully if they see an opportunity could pounce and possibly win this race tonight. It's a 90-minute race, so strategy could be something to consider. Some people might try and maybe do an undercut or pit early if they're stuck in traffic, or maybe try and go as long as possible. But 90 minutes, it's plenty of time to make up places. And what do you expect, Dave? Do you expect people to maybe try and be aggressive in the early stages of the race before the first set of pit stops, or do you expect some drivers to be a little bit more cautious?
I think it depends really on how much they've been practicing in the wet. If they're confident in the rain, then I see no reason why they're not going to be aggressive, because there's likely to be a few cars falling off, especially as you get lots of cars battling. In terms of strategy, I think usually the quickest way is 50-50. You're not putting too much pressure on your tyres. We've got a mandatory tyre stop this race. For every 90-minute race, it's going to be mandatory tyres. For the others, they only have to take some fuel. So we expect to be fairly similar in terms of the pit stop times. But yeah, I think it's going to be a matter of where did people qualify? What's their race pace? If their race pace is good and they're getting held up, then I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be considering a bit of an early pit stop, as long as they can get enough fuel in the car, that is.
Absolutely. I was about to say that as well. It wouldn't surprise me if some drivers maybe try and split the strategy with going 50-50, maybe not take a full tank of fuel, maybe try and cut the time loss, I guess. But as I look at Regan Mitchell at the moment, currently 4th in qualifying, and he's about 7/10 off pole position at the moment from Clayton Barnett, but look at the times in qualifying, they're so close. And I have to say, so far the race has been really good. We've had some little incidents from time to time in both races, but it's just the nature of close racing with these GT3 cars. And I think there's been quite some impressive drivers so far this season, not just overall, but also in the semi class as well. You've got the likes of Aaron van der Roonen, who took a fantastic win in his class at the round 1 at Spa-Francorchamps, played that absolute blinder with the strategy, and one of the people who could be possibly up there for a good result overall. But I think this race, if it's wet, I think there could be some socks in store.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I mean, I'll be fairly biased because Aaron took me out in the last race. So let's see how he gets on. But obviously, Joe, the Germany up in P6 there in terms of the semi-pro class is putting a pretty decent time. Obviously in the wet you do get quite a a spread in terms of times, because you do, some people don't practice or are not as confident in the rain, but in terms of Jonathan and Clyde up there, still only two tenths of a second apart. But this obviously we've seen the likes of Jonathan and his teammate Miles. They've been racing in our series for a while, and certainly seen some improvements from both of them, and it's just showing that Jonathan's up in the lead, and he's really been untouchable so far this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's got a commanding lead in the championship, not a big margin, but a decent margin nevertheless. So I think he just needs to finish well today. Even if he doesn't win, he just needs to finish well, pick up the points, and just think about the championship, even if he's not up at the front. But still up there in pole position at the moment with Clayton Barney in second and Regan Mitchell rounding out the top three. But yeah, so we're just coming into basically the closing stages of qualifying, and this was pretty much the last chance for anyone to improve their lap times. But I think if it was me, it was racing tonight in the way, I would just probably just go in with just a little bit of a cautious approach, because the racing in the way is completely different from the racing in the drive, because you've got to think about stuff like you've got to brake much earlier than you would do in the drive. But I think looking forward to this race, and as we're coming to the closing stages of qualifying, we'll take you through the grid soon. But as we look at the times on screen right now, Jonathan Savalti has taken the pole position with Clayton Barney in second, and Regan Mitchell rounded at the top three with the Mead in fourth, and then in fifth we've got Andreas Glen, and then seventh we've got Ryan Leitch with John Doe Germany in eighth, Tim Maurice in ninth, and rounded out the top 10 is Dan Lenson, I believe. Sorry, not Dan Lenson, it's Sven Svinklink, and then Dan Lenson in 11th, with 12th going to Yannick Valenduk. And then 13th we've got Matt Tubby, then 14th we've got Nard Cox, 15th we've got Luca Felipe, 16th we've got Dave Jr., and then 17th we've got Nathan Pierce with Simon Wilkes at 18th, and then 19th we've got Martin van der Kraan, and then rounded out the 20 is Richard Pixley from Wild Things Racing. And as you see on screen right now, we've got the rest of the grid. But what do you expect in the early stages of the race anyway, Dave? Like I say, I was expecting people to maybe be a little bit aggressive in the early stages, some other people to maybe just hang back. But as we switch to the race, it's actually a dry track now, so what we were talking about, it could simply go out the window.
It could, yeah. I think the settings for the racer is fairly high random, so even though it's currently a bit of cloud with warm temperatures, we could see some cloud building throughout the race, and there's still potential for rain, so it could throw a spanner in the works. And what we've seen from the Camas Cup race that we ran a couple of months ago, cars can actually race on here with slicks on in the rain, and there was some pretty quick guys running fairly good times on slicks. It wasn't really the optimum tyre, but they threw the dice and were hoping for the best, but it didn't really pay off. But I think it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we've got Regan Mitchell. Obviously the top four there are all Hondas, so one suggests it's pretty good here again. Maybe it will be different in the dry, but I think Regan will certainly be hoping to get up the inside of Clyde there, because obviously he's got the inside of turn one into turn one. So I think he'll be getting aggressive for Rocket Simsport. With obviously hoping Johnny maybe gets a bit of a lag off the line as well there, but it's going to be good. Hopefully it won't be too green, the track. It looks like it's optimum, but that can be fairly low in the grip range on the optimum, so it might rubber in throughout the race as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think you're talking about the Honda as well. I did do some laps with the Honda around here earlier this afternoon talking about it, and it does seem to suit this track really well, especially out of the final corner. It just seems to stick like glue, and I don't know if it's just the nature of the car setting the track, or just both combinations, if I get my word right, combinations suiting each other. But I think, like I say, there's some people further back in the field that I just have a feeling that could spring a surprise. But Jonathan Mead, like I said at the start of the broadcast, he's pretty much been on form, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if he takes a win here tonight. But 90-minute race, anything can happen, especially down at turn 1, where people can just be a bit optimistic sometimes with some trying to make a move and just being a little bit eager. But hopefully we don't see any of that.
Yeah, 27 cars, running down that pit straight for the start of the race. It's wide enough to get 4 cars wide. I don't think. Well, I'm fingers crossed. I don't think we're going to see that because that could be carnage. But I think there's some quick guys back there. I mean, Nathan Pearce down in 17th. He's normally a bit higher than that as well. So I think it's going to be interesting to see the strategies to see if those that are a little bit out of position can make headway in terms of overtakes, or whether they do have to use strategy to actually get the passes done, or likewise, do they run really long to try and get track position and not have to do too much overtaking? So that's the other alternate strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if it was me, if I was further back in the pack, I would probably just try and go as long as possible in the first stint, and just basically take as much fuel as I can without losing too much time. And then when it comes to the last pit stop, maybe in a way, I guess you won't have to take as much fuel at the last pit stop. But I guess it just depends where you are on track. If you're losing too much time, it's maybe worth trying something different with the strategy, and maybe trying to maybe under fuel slightly at the pit stop or the first pit stop to try and gain track position.
Well, when we take tyres in the ACC, it's actually a set 30 seconds. So in reality, it doesn't matter too much in terms of what fuel you take in the pit stop, because it will never be above 30 seconds. I think a fuel tank is about a full tank. Is around 18 seconds to fill. So I think we'll obviously still see 30-second stops unless people are stopping for damage, in which case they may go longer. But I think it's all a matter of how much fuel do they take at the start. If they were going to brim it, then they've got options throughout the race. Obviously, if you end up having an incident with somebody and you end up at the back, you can pretty much do whatever you want in terms of pit strategy, stop early, stop late. But obviously, if you under fuel, when you start the race, you've only got one option, and that's to go short. So we'll see. I think it's going to play out depending on what happens with the start of the race, and if people get together with others, then that may change their strategies. So it certainly changed my strategy at Watkins Glen.
As they come round on the warm up lap, you've had races on ACC in the past, Dave. What kind of stuff are you doing on the formation lap? Are you checking stuff like pit menu, like checking you've got your fuel set correctly, tyres set before the pit stops, or are you just trying different things to maybe just calm the nerves a little bit?
In days gone by, I'd be as soon as 30 seconds goes, you're making sure that I've got my pit strategy menu selected, so I can just do a couple of checks to see just to make sure it's got new tyres selected, the tyre pressures are right. And make sure the fuel setting's correct, because it has happened where setups don't load properly and you don't get your pit stop strategy, so that can be quite frantic on the warm-up lap. And then once you're off, it's literally warming up the brakes. So I tend to ride the brakes quite a lot through the warm-up lap. A little bit of jagging left and right to get some tyre temps in, and just trying to get the pressures up to close to near optimum. It's sometimes quite difficult to do. You can't sometimes get there, especially on the long laps like Spa. You've got such a long straight away down obviously the back straight. It can be quite difficult to get the pressure up, and obviously then you're literally going into Eau Rouge and Raidillon from the start of the race with under pressured tyres. So thankfully this season, first race was very respectful in terms of the first two corners, but obviously as they're coming around the last corner here onto the straight, so they're all forming up now side by side, getting ready to start.
Yep, as everyone's starting to get together now and starting to get into the rows, just waiting for the green flag to come out, and this is pretty much the moment I hate, because I don't want to jump the start if I put the power down there a little bit. And as they're coming up the line now, waiting for the flag to come out, and everyone's and the green flag's out, and away we go.
Yeah, it looks like Jonathan didn't quite get the jump, and Clyde could potentially have the outside line here. And here's Regan, is actually in the slipstream, but who's that? There's James Mead just behind as well, and Regan could actually get hung out here if James gets around the outside of him, which he has. And Clyde Bainey does take the lead past Jonathan Seville, so Clyde's really going to be wanting to make sure he's making hay whilst he's got past Jonathan. And James Mead still putting pressure on Regan. Didn't quite make that move stick up on the the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, so Jonathan pretty much got caught napping there as Barney's into the lead now. But just looking at everyone now, looking at James Mead as well, it looks like he's had a decent start as well, and pretty much just pulls it. Oh, he goes for the move up the inside of Regan Mitchell. That's a bit optimistic there, but Mitchell luckily managed to see him coming and left just enough room there. But as we've had issues already, and Richard Pixley, one of the drivers, caught up in it. Same with Simon Wilkes.
Looks like someone got turned around there. Hopefully Tom will be able to find us a replay and see what actually happened. But just saw a puff of smoke there as well with Regan and James Mead just going through. So obviously Jonathan or Clyde actually getting just on the grass there, just to give a little puff of smoke like you just saw there from Regan. But yeah, good. It was a good move there from James. He was a bit opportunistic, but just gave enough time to slow down to allow Regan to take the apex if he didn't quite get up the inside. So good, respectful driving. Yeah, absolutely.
It was good heads up driving from Mitchell, because that could have ended up being a lot worse than it looked. But everyone's just about completed the end of lap 1. We've had some slight issues further back down the field, but up at the front it looks like everyone's been nice and clean so far. And James Mead up into 4th place at the moment, and putting a bit of pressure on Regan Mitchell. But as I say that, Mitchell looks like he's starting to compose himself and pull away slightly now. And the Rocket Simsport driver, a name I've watched on ACC for quite a while now, and always been up there in any series that I've watched him, and up there in 3rd place at the moment. But still, 90 minutes, these guys are just probably settling down and just telling themselves not to do anything too erratic or silly. But back up at the front, it's still Clayton Barney leading, but Jonathan Seville is still managing to keep with him.
Yeah, it looks like Leach has got past Wheelcheck as well. So top 5 now, all Hondas. So it's going to be, literally who is going to be the best Honda driver tonight, unless there is some sneaky strategy calls going on somewhere that could be could throw a spanner in the works. But at the moment, it's looking like Honda's 1 to 5 already, and only after 4 minutes.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Honda as well, is that as we take a look at the replay to see what happened there, and it looks like everyone just got a bit bunched up there, and just unfortunately, I think it was Simon Wilkes that got tagged possibly.
Yeah, it doesn't look like. Looks like there was obviously the pink Audi there was looking like it was already off. So maybe some yellow flags put people off, and they slowed, and others didn't. It was just a little bit adventurous. Obviously, we saw James Mead trying the same move up the inside there, and he managed to stop. And that's what happens when you don't manage to stop. You have a little tag, and especially when you've got so many cars all bunched up there, you can lose a lot of places, and it's unfortunate when it happens. I've been party to those sorts of incidents before, and your heart sinks where you're just watching cars go by, and you have to regroup and get back on the horse and either get in the pits to repair your damage or just carry on. We've got another yellow flag there for another couple of yellow flags. So I think somebody's actually stopped out on track there. Is that 991 or 91?
Yeah, I believe so. I was about to say it looks like someone stopped, and look at the replay now, and it looks like that was a pretty much a torpedo and a half.
Yeah, that's the one where he was ahead of the Richard Pixley incident there, where he got caught up in it. And, at least they all managed to make it back on the track without taking anyone out. That's good again. Just trying to see who that might have been in the yellow flags there. not actually on track anymore by the looks of things. So it's possibly we've lost somebody. Just see if I can see who we've lost.
Still back up at the front. It's James Mead under pressure from Ryan Leach as well. We've had another issue. Yannick Valenduc in the 301 has had an issue with someone and has been tagged around. So it looks like Valenduc is going to head to the pits because it looks like he might have some slight damage by the looks of it.
It looks very second-hand, that car now, doesn't it? It really looks like the wing's hanging off. So Yannick's going to have some significant damage to repair in the pit stop. And 1 hour 24, I think he would be struggling to get round with fuel unless he takes a different engine map on his car and does a lot of fuel saving. So let's see. It's not discounting him just yet, and he might be able to make it back through.
Yep, as they look at the battle for second place now, Clayt Barney, actually Jonathan Savills took the lead from Clayt Barney, and pulling away Clayt Barney under pressure from Regan Mitchell now, and it looks like Mead in the background in fourth as well. So the three Hondas all together, and like you said, Dave, it's pretty much a Honda procession at the moment up at the front. It seems to be the Honda really suits this track, just the nature of the corners, just the handling characteristics of the car as well. It just seems to suit this track. But further back, looking at Dave Jr. in the number 10 BMW under pressure from, looks like Pinspec as well in the Audi. So a bit of a pack starting to form here from about looks like Dan Lenson and Aaron Van Drunen behind them. A bit of a pack starting to form as it looks like Van Drunen is trying to make a move already.
Yeah, I'm not sure he's got good enough a run there, because he's obviously Dan Lenson's pulled across to try and break the toe and protect the inside line, but Aaron didn't move into his toe, so I think he was going to be struggling. But then it looks like he's going to get the switch back, and he's going to go around the outside of Dan Lenson. He does, and he makes the move stick.
A fantastic move by Aaron Van Drunen, and up into the lead of the semi class as well. So great, that was a great setup play, the way he made that move work. He made the Lenson outbrake himself, and he'd done a bit of a switchback and managed to carry that momentum on the outside and get the move done. So fantastic move from Aaron, and starting to pull away now.
Yeah, he's definitely pushing. You saw the back end snap on him a little bit onto that last little straight, and he's pulled out a little bit there. And have we got Dave Jr. behind Dan Lenson now? He's stayed in his slipstream and actually pulled across, and he's going to try and dive one up the inside. And looks like he's made the move, but Dan Lenson's just. Dan's very capable, and he's just kept the foot in and actually just made sure Dave Jr. couldn't get up the inside. I wonder if Clyde Bainey actually had an issue in terms of an incident, because he was quite a way ahead of Regan Mitchell, and obviously Johnny's managed to get past him what looks like fairly easily. And then Clyde's back into the clutches of Regan at the moment. So. It'll be interesting to see if we can actually see. And Dan Lenson there just gets tapped by Dave Jr. a little bit on the corner, just made him a little bit squirrely. But now onto the back straight, and that could have actually meant that Dan's not got as good a run down the straight as he could have done. As Dave Jr. moves to go around the outside, but looks things, and that Mercedes got some legs, and his last of the late breakers into turn one, and Dan again takes that corner very tight. But Dave Jr. doesn't actually try the switchback there, and obviously I think it's like Chris Benchback behind, trying to channel his inner Hamilton and actually take the inner line like he did, like Lewis did onto Club Corner in the last F1 race at Silverstone.
Yep, I remember that as well. That was pretty cool to watch. But Dave Jr. looks like he's just watching the body language of his car and his steering inputs in general. It looks like he's getting a bit impatient there, trying to make a move on Lenson, and again pulls out, tries to show his nose, but he's just compromised his entry there, and he's under attack from Pinspec, and looks like Richard Pixley is right behind them as well in the 91 Porsche. So Dave Jr. starting to form a bit of a pack behind him now, and it won't be too long before these guys behind will try and make a move and try and get by him. But again, Dave Jr., I think he is quicker than Lenson. It's just a case of trying to get close. Oh, his Pixel runs wide into the final few corners and just compromises his line there. But this is probably one of my favourite liveries on the Porsche, or in general, this Watkins racing liveries. It looks like Patrick Chatter is getting a bit sideways, heading onto the home straight.
Yeah, I think Rich Pixley's he's got away with a little bit there because he obviously did run wide, and I think it put off the guy behind him, which was looking very, very close to being able to overtake. So, as we know, the Porsche isn't the fastest car down the straight, and it struggles to overtake in the race unless you run very, very low downforce, and at which point you then struggle through the infield. So Rich has really got to do his race without any mistakes, and try to maximise any exit, because it does get out of the corners very, very well. Possibly not as well as the Honda at this moment in time, but it'll be good. I think actually Sem Spenkelink has now got up into B6, so he's managed to make his way past Wilczek as well.
Indeed, Sven having a great race in 6th place at the moment, but still Dave Jr. gets a tap from behind from Chris Pinsbeck, and that's what I keep talking about. Dave Jr., he's quicker than Lenson in front of him, but just can't get by, and he's getting a bit impatient, and that's just leading to more mistakes from him. But Luca Filippi, looking at him as well, he's trying to make a move on Vincent Valsek in front of him, and needs to try and get a good exit here along this around this long right-hander, try and carry that momentum, and it looks like he is carrying that momentum, and he's got a run on Valsek in front of him, but has he got enough straight line speed to try and get by him? It looks like they're both evenly matched heading down to turn 1, and is Filippi going to try and make a move? I think Valsek went to cover his line there and done it well, and Filippi just can't do anything about it at the moment.
Yeah, and Tubby's looking to take advantage there. That Audi was rapid along that straight. Even the NSX is one of the fastest cars in the sim, and the Audi has obviously got some decent straight line speed as well, because he didn't really make any impact on the Audi there, and Wilczek was heavily defending the inside of the corner there, making sure he stayed right up against the wall, running across the marbles, which isn't great into the braking zone, which is probably where Dan Lenson had the problem with his overshooting when Aaron Van Drunen got past him.
Absolutely, as Dave Jr.'s caught back up to the rear of Lenson, and again Dave Jr. keeps pulling out from behind and he keeps pulling out, but that's just compromising his entry, and he's been is he going to go for the move around in this right-hander heel? Oh, that's a bit tight.
That's very respectful, but Dan's kept his position. He's been cool under pressure. Obviously, Dave's giving him a few little taps, as is Pinchbeck, as we see Luca Filippi just again. Oh, he's getting past. He got past Wojciech there. So I wonder if everybody that's got past Wojciech is running less fuel, because it did seem fairly easy, and it doesn't look like the car is actually as comfortable as possible. But as Wojciech is actually looks like he's going to get back past him. That's straight line speed, but he's not confident under the brakes there, is he? So it looks like he might be carrying a bit of extra weight, but we'll wait and see for the pit stops to see if that actually happens.
Yeah, I have noticed on several ACC races that I've done that if you carry a heavy fuel tank, you seem to lose a little bit of time just because you're carrying so much weight. And I think some of these guys, especially behind Lenson, I think they're maybe carrying less fuel, and that's allowing them to keep up with Lenson, and they're maybe slightly quicker at the moment. That's probably the reason why, I believe. But again, Nard Cox gets a bit sideways there, but manages to hold it. So I think Valsek might be carrying a fuel tank, I believe, and trying to do a long run in this first stint.
Yeah, I mean, Nard was he looked like he had to get out of the throttle, which just let the rear end get a little bit loose onto the straight there, but he obviously got back on it pretty quickly and just settled the rear of the car down. But we're, as we said at the start of the race, strategy could come into play as Matt Tubby now is looking like he's possibly going to get out the inside on the brakes into Wilczek, but Wilczek's just hanging out on the outside and got the inside for the next corner, and this could actually get Nard Cox the opportunity to get past. And they're still going side by side, so it actually looks like, yep, Toby's got the move done onto the start-finish straight, but is the straight line speed of the Audi gonna bring it back into play again? And just look at the difference in speed there.
Yeah, I have to say that Bentley in a straight line is a quick car as well. It's just it's a shame that the Bentley doesn't seem to get used as much these days. I think it's still one of the quickest cars out there, especially in a straight line. It's got really good straight line speed, but fantastic battle between these three, and it looks like one of them runs wide. But Cox, I think he might just be playing the waiting game, waiting for these guys in front to maybe just start battling each other. And if they make a mistake, Cox will be there to pick up the places. It looks like Dave Jr.'s lost a few places.
Yeah, so Dave Jr.'s lost 2 places there, just run a little bit wide, and Rich Pixley and Chris Pinchbeck just jumped up, pounced on the mistake, and now Dave's under pressure from Dessoir as well, behind.
And I think Lenton as well is probably taking lessons from Jarno Trulli on how to start a train, because they look at the park of cars behind him.
I wonder if Pinchbeck got it's a bit squirrely on the rear end, and looks like he's actually just nudged. I don't know what's going on there. You just watch the yellow flags, guys. But yeah, that looked like he just lost the rear end under braking. Maybe a bit too much rear brake bias. Didn't look like there was any contact, but obviously then that caused Rich Pixley to get involved in that. So he's been a bit unlucky this race, Richard, that's for sure. Absolutely,
and this battle for 9th and 10th between Tubby and Cox is going on as well, and it looks like Valchek's pulled away slightly, taking advantage of these guys scrapping behind them. And look who's joined this battle as well is a semi-class winner, is Aaron Van Drunen. So Aaron's caught up to these guys, but I think if I was Aaron leading the class, I would just be thinking about it, just being careful, and because he's got a decent gap behind him, so he doesn't need to do anything risky and throw it away.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. It looks like Nathan Pearce just actually went off on turn 1 by the looks of things, and there's now, is he in the pits? Is that another car? This looks like that could have been Rich Pixley actually. So we'll see if actually Rich is still on the track. But yeah, I mean, it's sometimes a waiting game. These cars are not easy to get not easy to overtake. We run into a replay. There we go. This is the Pinchbeck incident. So is he just going to lose the rear end? Oh no, Pixie does tap in. Oh, that's unfortunate. At least it's not going to be too bad other than that knock there. See how much damage Pinchbeck's got from that secondary impact.
Excuse me. Yeah, it looks like those guys Pixley just missed his braking point slightly, and as we saw, just tapped the rear of Pinchbeck, but Pixley's still going, but down in 21st now, so he's lost several positions now, and it looks like he's going to be under attack from Nathan Pearce. And the Lamborghini's back up at the front. The battle for 9th and 10th is going on between Tubby and Cox, and it looks like Cox has got the position heading down to turn 1.
Yeah, it's good there. Good there, getting up on the outside, squeezing Tubby. Just make sure you can get past and get the perfect line up into turn 1, because you don't want to be having anyone try and launch up the inside, especially coming off the marbles that are on the outside. The inside of the track up against the pit wall.
Absolutely. As they looking at looking at Richard Pixley again, heading into turn 1, and in front of him he's got one of the Ferraris in front of him, and it was a decent start to the race for Pixley, but it's kind of just went downhill slightly. Just being caught up in a couple of incidents, and maybe just feeling rattled a little bit, losing his focus. But looking at Simon Wilkes as well, trying to make a move on the Pinchbeck, takes a wide line, trying to cut back and get the momentum. But this corner, you've got to get a good momentum and try and carry the speed, because you've got a straight hand down to the next corner. But it looks like Wilkes is not going to be close enough.
No, it doesn't. And obviously you got two cars the same there, so that in terms of top speeds, they should be fairly similar. Just having a look at the trace, and the current top speed for both are 260 km/h. So there's no advantage there in terms of top speed unless Simon can get close enough. And at the moment, 0.3 of a second, 0.4 of a second is not quite close enough to get a really good tow. He probably wants to get in and out of that last corner, about 0.1 behind, and so he can really get involved. And as Rich Pixie again goes wide and nearly takes out the Lamborghini of Planners there when rejoining the track. So he's struggling, and it's possible that may have a little bit of damage there that's causing him to struggle a bit, as Tim Marius is looking like he wants to go around the outside of turn one. A little bit coming together. Is that Dan Lenson, is it? So Dan's getting his elbows out, not wanting to allow anybody to bully him, which when he's got a tank that he's driving, he can actually do that. Obviously the Honda's a little bit more fragile, especially being mid-engined. That Mercedes has obviously got a bit of grunt as well, so good defending. So
and that's the thing with those cars as well. One's front ends and one's mid ends, and then the one that was behind them is the front ends as well. So three completely different. How can you say, engine placement styles or placements pretty much. But riding on board with Mark Cox as well. He's right behind Vincent Walsek. And I wonder if Cox might try and make a move heading down to turn one. He closes right up under braking, and there's a bit of a tap.
We certainly tried to make a move, but you can't drive through people, Nard. So it's a shame there, because if he only broke, just broke a tiny bit late, and if he'd broken just that little bit earlier, he probably would have had the run down the start-finish straight. So that's what can happen. You just have to regroup. He's obviously going to get quite close in terms of getting up the slipstream of Wojciech on this lap, and he's just got to regroup. He's probably not going to get past him around the infield section. He's probably going to be into turn 11, out of turn 12, and onto the start-finish straight into turn 1. I think he's that's the option for him every lap, unless Wojciech makes a mistake. That is.
Absolutely. Further back, look at Nathan Pearson. It looks like Richard Pixley's got the run, and I don't know if he's going to try and make a move into turn 1. He pulls out to try and distract Pierce, but Pierce does well to stick to his line and not get rattled, but someone off in the grass there. But Pixley on a bit of a recovery drive now. Same with Pierce, but I have to say, so far this race has been pretty good to watch so far. There's some incidents that's happened in the early stages, but apart from that, it's been hard close racing in the field, and great respect between the drivers. And it looks like Lenson's about to lose another position as Tim Marius is up the inside in the Honda. Can he get the move done? Can he be later on the brakes? He gets the move done. He runs wide a little bit, and that's going to allow Lenson back through to regain the position.
Yeah, Lenson was very positive though, in terms of getting by on the outside and not yielding. Obviously, again, good racing by Marius. He knew when potentially that position was lost on the way out of the corner that he overrun in terms of the brakes. But again, it looks like he had a little bit of run there. But this is the corner that was mentioned before, turn 11, turn 12. He wants to be right up the exhaust pipe of Dan Lenson, which he looks like he is. Dan Lenson runs a little bit wide, so if he can get close enough in terms of the slipstream, then he could have a good run with Patrick Tractor is actually again quite close. So, and that Aston Martin has got some legs now again. It actually was impacted a bit by poor bopping, and now it seems to be much improved. And look how late he is under the brakes, and that could be really important when he comes up to these two and actually wants to make a move.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marius and Lenson are still going at it, and Marius, it looks like he had the position for 1 second there, and it looks like he gets a cut back and tries to get a great run, and he's sort of alongside Jensen, and Lenson has to leave the room. And fantastic races between these guys, and waiting in the wings there in the Aston Martin is Patrick Tractor. If either of these two in front of him slip up and they collide with each other, and Patrick just watching what these guys are up to, I think, and getting back in the power just gets a little bit sideways there, but still great to see these guys going at it. And I think it's just a matter of time before Marius gets by and takes that position from Lenson. But I think his best opportunity, like you say, is possibly the home straight, because the grunt of that Honda just seems to have the edge in a straight line slightly with over the Mercedes.
Yeah, he's looking like he's going to be just getting that slipstream up into turn 11, and he's just taking a slightly wider line, so he's gone for the braking zone. That's oh, he's never going to get through there. That's just saw the sausage on the inside there. I thought he was going to end up launching himself into the air there, but he managed to miss it. And here's Niall Cox again. That's Wojciech. It looks like he's just got to be inside of turn one, and is he going to make the move stick? Yes, he's just made that stick. So Wojciech again, still struggling. I'm not sure if that's his normal race pace. Oh, what's happened there? And Van Drunen, it looks like he's basically been cut off, and that's caused Matt Tubby to literally spear off into the barrier.
Yeah, it was unfortunate. Just unfortunate contact between those two. I think maybe Aaron just got caught out slightly by maybe just Tubby being slightly later getting back on the power. But still, I think if Tubby catches back up to Van Drunen, I think Aaron will probably do the sportsman thing, and they allow Tubby to retake the position. But looking at his battle again for 14th between Lenson and Marius and Patrick Tractor, and Tractor doesn't seem too eager to get close to these guys. He's maybe just happy to sit back and watch what they're doing. Again, Lenson feeling the pressure again from Marius, and Marius, I think he needs to be sensible this time around, not try and go for the move like he done in the previous lap. Wait until that home straight get a good run and use that extra momentum to get a good run down the home straight and try and make the move into turn one.
Yeah, I think the Aston and the Merc seem to be much more settled on the curbs, which is fairly consistent in this sim with the front engine cars, so they can just about get out of turn 10 better than the Honda, which is looking like it's giving Marius a little bit of a run. But Marius again, it looks like he's really close again, but it's looking like he's just running to the outside of that last corner a bit too early and not staying in the slipstream of Lenson. But he's moving to the outside. That's probably where he needs to be squeezing Dan Lenson to stop him from coming back across, getting late on the brakes. But looks like he might have actually got the move done this time. He has. Good move.
Yeah, it was a fantastic move from Marius, and I thought for a second he was going to run wide onto the grass, but he got it slowed down just enough, and this is his chance he needs to take this chance to pull away from Lenson, because it's obvious that Lenson is slower at this point of the race, and maybe just backing off slightly to look after his tyres and maybe even do a bit of fuel saving. But at this time in the race, I think Marius is probably the quicker driver out of them, and it looks like Tractor's got the run as well. But back up at the front, Jonathan Seville, he's took the lead and managed to pull away and build a bit of a gap to Clyde Barney, and up to about 4.9 seconds now. So Jonathan Seville doing a great job, and Regan Witzel up into third place for Rocket Simsport. But it's a Honda 1, 2, 3 up at the front. Actually, I say it's a Honda 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So a Honda processor at the moment.
Yeah, and Sem Spenkelink is only 6 seconds ahead of Felipe in the next Honda. So come on, Sem, let's make sure we don't have a top 6 Honda procession. But there's some good midfield battle in here, and this just shows you how competitive the actual field is. Obviously, we've got the top 3. They're not that far away from each other, and pretty much the rest of them are nose to tail. As we got Simon Brooks is going to make the move up the inside of Chris Pinchback, and Chris can be quite aggressive in terms of defence, but it looks like Chris has got some decent straight line speed there, as Simon pulled out and just lost time and lost ground as Pinchback actually is getting quite close to Tractor. So looks like it's hotting up as we see Joan Planis and Nate Pearce and Glen all fighting out. And obviously Glen was a bit of a dark horse, I think, last race, wasn't it? Didn't he qualify up in second or third for that race? So he's not doing as well this race. Maybe he had a bit of contact at the start. Can't quite remember if he was involved in that incident.
Yeah, he's not as far up as I thought he would be. Maybe I think he might have possibly been caught up in that incident at the start, but looking at the battle for 9th and 10th between Vincent Vilcek and Aaron Van Drunen. Van Drunen's getting a lot closer now, and I have to say it's been a really good drive by Aaron at the moment. He's not doing, apart from that little incident with Tubby that he had. I think he just a racing deal that incident, but Aaron's just been slowly getting through the field, and I think it might. Vilcek runs slightly wide and just about runs into the wall there, but Aaron needs to get back in the slipstream, and again that straight line speed of the Audi is just it seems to be what's keeping Valsec in front at the moment.
Yeah, and let's not forget, Aaron Van Druenen's P1 in class at the moment. They're not actually racing for the same points. So, because Aaron Van Druenen's P1, he's obviously want to get past Wojciech, so De Swart doesn't have the opportunity to catch him up and take the class lead. So, in reality, Wojciech, it's probably better for him to actually let Van Druenen go because he's not racing him anyway. But obviously, he's done that. He's got past him, but now Tubby's right behind him, which he is racing for position. So it's going to be interesting as we see Marius is 9.3 seconds behind P2 in silver class. So he's got some work to do to catch that up in the next 59 minutes. And Chris Pinchbeck currently in 4th position in class, and again about another 3 or 4 seconds behind Marius. So there's definitely potential there, but obviously if he and Simon Wilkes keep battling like they do, I think that's only going to slow them down. So at some point they've got to think, what's better for us? Is it better for us to just work together and maybe just try and sneak up on Marius and De Swart and see if we can take those podium positions at the end?
Absolutely. Excuse me. Absolutely. Yeah. Van Druenen's pulling away now, and it's a battle for 10th and 11th between Valsec and Tubby. And I think Aaron's maybe he wants to pull away, but I think if Tubby does get by Valsec and both of them manage to pull away and build a bit of a decent gap, I think Aaron might just let Tubby by and just let him back by and retake a position, because I guess in a way Aaron might be feeling bad about it, but still I wouldn't want to be slowing down too much at this moment in time in the race, because we've still got the pit stops to come, and if you let someone by or back through in front of you, that could possibly cost you in terms of track position.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't expect Aaron to let him back by, to be honest. I think he'll just carry on. Looking at the incident, from what I remember, it looked like potentially Aaron was just a little bit up the inside of Tubby, and Tubby pulled across, maybe thinking he was further ahead than he was, and that just meant he went across onto the side. But we'll see. Obviously, we run a protesting system in SSRi, so if any drivers have got a reason to complain about another person's driving or an incident that they want us to look at, then we have a panel of independent stewards that actually review those incidents and issue penalties or not. There is a race license point system as well, so if any driver exceeds the amount of license points, then they could get a race ban. So obviously, when people get too close to that, they've got to be careful. But thankfully, we haven't had to give anybody a race ban for a little while. So it's obviously good, respectful racing, and obviously good sportsmanship as well helps that as well. So let's may that continue as we see Simon Wilkes again trying to get past Chris Pinchback, and it's this Tubby on Wheelcheck. So Wheelcheck's still managing to keep ahead, but under brake he's still a little bit struggling. But obviously the Audi's still got very good pace, and he's now 34 minutes into the race, so he would have burnt off a good portion of that fuel as well. So he'll be starting to feel a little bit better.
Absolutely. It was like Wilkes gets a move, Wilkes gets a move done on Pinchbeck, and I've noticed that as well from racing the Aston Martin anyway. I've noticed that any time I've took a full tank, the car seems to be slow in the first part of a race, and then the second part of the race when the fuel burns off, it starts to get quicker and quicker. So it seems to be a thing with some of these cars that they don't seem to do well on full fuel, but as the fuel burns off, they get quicker and quicker. And it looks like some of these guys here, or especially Valsec, is starting to get quicker and quicker as the fuel burns off. Yes,
as we know, tyres are very important, and making sure you don't overstress your tyres is as important as not making any mistakes. And if you can keep your tyres in long enough, then as the fuel comes off, as you say, you can start pumping in the laps. And as some people will tell you, it's I'm not particularly quick at the start of a race, but consistency and trying and making sure the tyres are not ruined is one of the things that that bodes me well. I think you've seen probably from from the race where I managed to get back after being taken out. I think it was Spa, I think it was, or Watkins, Glen, I can't remember now, one of the two, and it was just a matter of just pumping in the times. But yeah, tyres are really important, and the Audi especially, the Audi does get a bit too loose on the rear end after about 8 or 9 laps. So what you tend to do is actually make the start of the race a little bit understeery, so you can cope with through the rest of that stint, and it makes the car feel much better, and it does actually come back to you after about 15 laps. So just got to be mindful. I think the Honda can be a little bit aggressive on its tyres as well. So we'll see how Regan and the others around him doing after 45 minutes. And, maybe they'll take the decision that pitting might be better.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of Regan as well, he's still behind Clip Barney, and it's not really close to him at the moment. I don't know if Regan's maybe just sitting where he is at the moment and just looking after his tyres. I have noticed that as well with the Honda. It seems to be a little bit aggressive on its tyres at some tracks, but I think and I've noticed that with the Honda as well, that sometimes it's one of those cars that is fun to drive, but sometimes it can just unexpectedly try and snap on you and like spin you into a wall. But it seems to be one of those cars that you've got to be really smooth and not overly aggressive with. But looking at the battle for fifth and sixth between Ryan Leitz and Sven Svinkle, I think in the Bentley, riding on board with Sven, and closes right up under braking. And I think at the moment Sven just seems to be slightly quicker than Ryan, but at the moment it doesn't seem to be too eager to get by and try and make a move. But both these cars, it seems to be evenly matched in a straight line.
Yeah, Sem's a really, really quick driver, and a lot of them are very respectful. And you won't take too many risks, but he's putting a lot of pressure on Leach there, and maybe Leach is actually starting to struggle with his tyres there, and Sem in the right-hand drive Bentley's he's really putting the pressure on.
And the Bentley on ACC, or GT Racing in general, I think it's the only car that's got right-hand drive. The rest of these cars, the Ferrari, the Audi, the Aston Martin, and the Honda as well, they all left-hand drive. So some people think the steering's on the Bentley is on the wrong side of the car, but I've always maintained it's on the right side of the car, being based in the UK. But that's a discussion for another time. But riding on board with Sven heading down to turn 1, and again closes up right up under braking on the back of Leitz, and I think Sven maybe just looking after his tyres at the moment. He doesn't, like I said, he's not too eager to try and make a move straight away, especially with the pit stops not being too far away. As I say that, Dave Jr. dives onto the pits.
Yeah, so he's decided to take a slightly early stop there, so potentially under-fueled, but we won't necessarily see, because it'll be a 30-second stop if he goes in properly, as looks like Hinchbeck also coming into the pits as well there, by looks of things. So again, maybe deciding that enough's enough, let's get rid of those tyres and get some new ones on for the rest of the race. Just looking at Valenduk, he was actually stopped for over a minute in the pit stops for his damage, so that's, like I said earlier, he's really just got to get his head down and really just put the laps in and see where he can come out. He's obviously in silver class, so he's I think about P10 now at the moment, which is obviously last for silver class, but he's still going to get decent points for finishing P10 in class if that's where he finishes. But Dave Jr. is obviously still in the pits. Just on the timing screen on the left-hand side, if you're new to ACC and our racing, then you can see that a 1 next to the car number, and that means that there's one mandatory stop to go. And when it turns green, that means they've completed their mandatory stop. So also just got to make sure they don't speed in and out of the pit lane, because you can get a stop-go or drive-through if you speed. So as you can see, Dave's probably on pit limiter. As you can see, his lights are flashing, so he's on the automatic pit limiter, although he has to manually activate it, and there he goes off back onto the racetrack. All those marbles in the pit lane, you wouldn't want it coming out on that, would you?
Yeah, absolutely not. I've had that. I had that in a previous or another league race where I made a pit stop and I came out and I was going. I wouldn't say I was going too quick, but I just got on the marbles and lost some grip and just got a little bit sideways on the pit exit line. But luckily got away with it. But there's battle going on between Wilkes and it looks like Wilkes and Lenson is what is still going on. And Lenson again doing a great defensive job, and there seems to be Wilkes is quicker than Lenson, but Lenson's just pretty much getting the elbows out, trying to defend as much as possible. And Wilkes, even though he's in the silver class, he's got every right to fight for his position or overall position. But it's a great respectful racing between these guys, and it wouldn't surprise me if both of these guys come down to the pits at the same time, or if Wilkes decides to come into the pits maybe earlier and try and get an undercut on Lenson.
Yeah, I don't know actually if Simon could have got any closer to the wall on into turn one there. It looked like he was actually rushing into it, so hopefully it doesn't look like it made his car look second hand. So obviously maximum judgment and using every inch of the track he could. But Lenson's still managing to do well on the infield there. So perhaps Lenson's running a little bit more rear wing than Simon. As Simon's again looking like he's got probably close enough here to Lenson if he can get out of turn 12. Good enough. Turn 13 and round turn 14, which is the end of the track onto the bank part of the track, which. In days gone by, actually, you wouldn't have had this section here. It would have just been round from turn 10 all the way around to the start-finish straight. So they've added that extra section into the road course.
As Russell Pixley comes to the pits now from the 19th position, and got some scratches on the front of his car, but it looks like he's not got any major damage. But into the pits now, and they decided to get his pit stop out of the way, and it looks like Wilkes is going to try and go round the outside of Lenson, and will Lenson leave some room and let him go by round the outside and maybe try and keep alongside him as Wilkes just about runs wide onto the grass there. But it looks like Lenson's trying to fight on the outside, but Wilkes has got the move done up into 14th.
Yeah, it's brave doing that on the outside, because when you're offline or onto the marbles or off the rubber, it can get a little bit sketchy. But Simon's done really well there to hold his line, hold Dan off in terms of that little fight back that he had. But again, very respectful, and obviously great move there from Simon. Indeed,
as Lenson's trying everything to try and keep up with Wilkes, but hanging in the background there is Patrick Tractor in the Aston Martin, and it won't be too long before Patrick possibly catches up to these two. And but still, great racing nevertheless as they come up to the final couple of corners. And I wonder if Lenson might dive into the pits now. I don't think he is, as both of them go by the pits, and Danny DeSwart from 12th place in the pits as well, and in the 57 Audi in the silver class, and actually Tim Marius into the pits as well. So more and more people are starting to dive in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, Pixie's down there in P20. There's the first person that has stopped. If obviously it comes out that he once it updates the timing tower. So there we go. Dave Jr. is actually ahead of him in the pit stop phase. So let's see what happens as we got a car off onto the gravel there. Is that Aaron Van Druen's run wide, I think, and allowed Tubby to get very close. And it looks like Tubby might get the run there because of the slow out of that corner because he was on the grass. But again, not racing for class, but Simon Wilkes is racing for class, and he's not far behind. And actually, Pinchbeck, is that because they're a lap down? Perhaps Pinchbeck. Pinchbeck's behind, but he's obviously a lap down because of his pit stop. So obviously, it's taken a bit of time in the pit lane to actually stop. Let's have a quick look to see how long they're actually stopped for. So anywhere between 1 minute 22 and 1 minute 33. So we're losing almost a lap there, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So Pinchbeck's a lap down now, and it looks like Van Druen's into the pits now. He doesn't want to get caught up in that park and that battle and lose too much time. So Van Druenen into the pits and to make his pit stop now. So I think that's a good call from Aaron.
Yeah, I think so. It's it maybe he's those little slides that we've seen him doing out onto the straights and stuff. They maybe ruined his rear tyres, so it's best to bite the bullet and get in. And especially when you've got some cars potentially battling with, don't want to get it slowed down. Just get in, get the tyres on, get the fuel in, and get off back down the road.
Indeed, there's the battle for 5th and 6th going on between Leeds and Svenkelink at the moment, and Svenkelink appears now is trying to get a move on and try and make a move before his pit stop. But I think if I'm Sven, it's maybe worth diving into the pits now and trying an undercut as Jonathan Silva's in from the lead now, along with Regan Mitchell.
Yeah, and Clyde Bainey was actually he's gone through, but he was actually holding Jonathan Seville in terms of times, and Regan Mitchell was actually last lap. He was actually quicker than Seville's as well. So it would be interesting to see if the new tyres come in quick enough. Sem just has a little bit of a look on the inside of Leach there, but yeah, see if they can bring the tyres in quick enough. And certainly, obviously, if Clyde's got decent tyres and he stays out, then it could be advantage Bainey. But again, in terms of stopping on your, you've got to stop on your pit board and make sure you don't run in too far, because that can add 5-6 seconds of your pit stop. So you've got to be on the money when you're running so close to the in terms of the other cars around you.
So I was just watching Clayton Barney as well, and you've got a little bit sideways there through the twisty section in the last sector, and they manages to just hold it. But it just proves how much he's pushing to try and not lose too much time to Jonathan Silva. But as I say, that Silva's just about to leave the pits now, falls down to 11th. I think he'll fall down to 12th. Actually, I think he'll come out in 11th place actually. So Jonathan Silva won't lose too many positions and won't lose too much time. So I pretty much say a decent stop. And is Barney going to come into the pits now? Barney into the pits from the lead.
Yeah, so he didn't spend too long to see what could happen in terms of the overall pit stops, and just having a look where Seville came out. Obviously, he's in P10 currently, but it looks like he's got a few seconds, about 2.5 seconds to Patrick Tractor. So obviously, that is for position. So maybe if Barney had maybe stayed out a little bit, he could have taken advantage of Seville possibly being held up by some of the other cars around him.
That's a good possibility as Luca Felipe comes into the pits from the 6th position, and this is pretty much at the stage of the race. Well, some people, most of the main contenders will probably make their pit stops now, and it looks like Barney's still in the pits, Mead's in the pits, and it looks like Barney's about to leave the pits now, leaving his pit box. So Barney should. I'm keeping an eye on him to see where he comes out in relation to Jonathan Silva. I think it's going to be mighty close as Seville's coming round the final corner now, around the long right hander, heading up to the home straight, and is Barney going to come out in front of him? It's going to be close, but I think Seville might just retake the lead.
Yeah, it's a very long pit lane, isn't it? He's still trundling along, and looks like he could actually lose out to Regan Mitchell as well if he's not careful. Mitchell is car 22, and he's actually gone through as well. So unless Barney gets out of the pit lane pretty quick. No, actually Regan Mitchell's made the jump in the pit stop phase, and that is that Marius as well, but it's just coming out behind him, or is that it must be a lap down there, I guess. Marius.
He's Marius is a lap down, so Regan Mitchell must have had a blinder of a pit entry, because he's just looking at the gap between him and Barney. It looks like Mitchell's got about probably a 1 second gap now, but as everyone else is starting to make their pit stops, Ryan Leach into the pits and Sven Svenkelink into the pits as well. And that's as I say, that Leach is I thought Leach was in the pits, but it's just Svenkelink is making a pit stop. So my ACC timing's playing up a little bit, but Regan Mitchell managing to jump Barney in the pit stops.
Yeah, like I say, if Regan must have done an absolute stonker of getting on his marks, making sure he's stopping at the right time, get his engine off in time, engine back on the money, and it only takes one out of position stop, and you lose that 3-4 seconds. That pretty much is what he's lost. As Planish just runs wide, and just it looks like he didn't brake for that corner there. So he's just running into the pit lane. So beg your pardon, he hasn't run wide. He's actually taken the pit lane.
Planis into the pits now, and Spenkelink is into the pits as well. I think Spenkelink is probably looking for his pit box, or he's leaving his pit box now, so probably as they're just about to come up to the 40-minute remaining mark in this race. And I have to say, this race has actually flew by really quickly, but there's been so much action going on, it's probably made it go by a lot quicker than I thought it would go. But been a great race nevertheless, great races so far, and still got a few people to make the pit stops, I believe. Actually, no, just one person making the pit stops, actually Planis, I believe. There's quite a few people in the midfield that have still got to make their pit stop. As I say that, Ryan Leach dives into the pits from the lead.
Yeah, so this is obviously the battle between Ryan and Sem Spenkelink, who stopped a lap before. So if Ryan's really pushed that in lap, he might be able to stay ahead of Sem. But we'll see how the new tyres affect Sem in terms of the Bentley, and see if he can actually make that time up. As Jonathan Seville is now up into P6, again obviously effective leader because of the people in ahead of him who haven't stopped. And we've obviously Leach and Nard Cox currently in the pit lane. But yeah, we'll see. I think obviously Leach is going to be coming out pretty soon. He'll be trundling along at ultra slow speed along the pit lane. So that's Planish just coming out of the pit lane there as well. So I think Leach. He's finished his pit stop now as Nard Cox coming out behind him. And actually, Nard and Leach actually look a little bit closer together, so perhaps Leach didn't have such a good stop as he would like.
Yeah, it looks like he might have lost a slight bit of time in the pit stop. Maybe overran his box slightly and had to get pushed back. Because I know that if you miss a box slightly, then you have to get pushed back. It adds probably a couple of seconds at least to your pit stop. So maybe a possibility that's happened. But Leach comes out from the pits. Comes out. Oh, there's Spenkelink as well. Yeah, good point. Spenkelink gains a position and gains it from Ryan Leach.
There we go. That's well done, Sem. There, it's obviously a great move in terms of the pit stop, and he's obviously had a pretty good outlap to make sure he's just jumped Leach in the pit stops there. But it's literally what looks like just 1 second difference between the two for that 2 laps space of time where they both stopped for their tyres. But Leach does look like he was struggling on the outlap there with his rear tyres, so he just needs to be careful he doesn't overheat him on the outlap.
So as Matt Tobby comes in from the lead as well, and it looks like Vincent Volsek will come into the pits from second place as well. So they've got about 3 people left that have still got to make the pit stop, and that should be us cycled through the pit stops. But Jonathan Seville back up into the lead, and Aaron Van Drunen has had an issue.
Well, it doesn't look like he's round anybody, so maybe he's taking himself out there. But hopefully broadcast director Tom Vandermeer will be able to find a replay for us to see what happened to Aaron there. But that's pushed him back into. It looks like he's struggling with his rear tyres there, so he's definitely overheated his tyres. And is he going to let Chris Pinchback through? Was he just? No, he's okay. It doesn't look like he's hit anything, but certainly if he's spun and cooked his tyres, then he will be struggling for a good 2 laps to get those rear tyres back down to pressure and temperature.
Yeah, he's moving around quite a lot, so I don't know if he's is he getting a bit sideways there, but I don't know if he's maybe damaged his steering. But looking at the replay, it looks like he's got tagged around and got spun into the gravel there, and nothing. It doesn't look like a major incident, but luckily, or good sportsmanship from the driver that tagged him around there, and Aaron Van Drunen again spins, so he maybe got more damage than he expected.
Wow, he was lucky there that he had a massive football field of grass to go off onto, but it looks like he's in the pits. I don't know, is he repairing damage, or I wonder if he's going to come back out. But as Simon Wilkes then takes over the the silver class lead at the moment, with Marius in P2. So that's Simon's done excellent work if he stays there with the update of the timing tower when it finishes doing it. There we go, it's updated already. So he's now down into P3s with Pinchback behind him, but by only 0.4 of a second. So again, that's been great work by Pinchback to actually get back up onto terms with Wilkes, who'd got past him earlier.
Absolutely, it was so unfortunate for Aaron though, because he was having a great run up there in the silver class. I think he was leading at one point as well, had a comfortable margin, and it's just they all started to fall apart. But Tim Marius up there in the lead in the silver class, keep out of trouble, and they doing well at the moment with Danny Swart in second place and rounding out the top 3 in that class is Simon Wilkes. So Wilkes having a good race as well, coming back to get up into the top 3 in class, but still anything can happen as they've got just about 34 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in this race, and I think some of these guys will probably be happy the race is over when it finishes, because some of them have not had the best of days, and the people that have had a good race, it's all ended up just starting to fall apart.
And it looked like Bainey was actually catching Mitchell as well, so that could be interesting end of the race. Obviously Bainey managed to lose position in pit stop phase to Regan, and it'll be interesting to see what the last 34 minutes holds. It looks like Simon Wilkes has just got the measure on Pinchback at the moment, with Chris just running onto the grass there, which isn't going to help his tyres for the next half a lap. He manages to recover and gets a good entry into turn 5.
Absolutely, as Wilkes just in front of Pinchback, and it's been the usual protagonists up at the front with from the likes of Seville, Mitchell and Barney, but I have to say, Jonathan Seville, if he's trying to go for the championship this season, he's making a good case for it, and he's doing what he needs to do to try and go for it. But still a long way to go in the season so far. But still, I think Jonathan Seville, from what I've watched of him, very capable driver, very quick driver, and so far taking 2 wins this season, it looks like he could be possibly on course to make it 3 from 3, but still got about just under 30 minutes in this race remaining, and I think Seville's probably not thinking about the championship at the moment, but still, like I say, they probably thinking about or aiming for the championship this season. But he's still got people that could challenge him and put a spanner in the works, the likes of Mitchell and Barney in second and third place. But Seville's got a bunch of back markers ahead of him there as Richard Pickley moves out of the way and lets him go by before turn 1. But I have to say, it's been a bit of a Honda processing fest, but I think the first non-Honda up there is Sven Svengelink in 5th place in that Bentley.
Yeah, I mean, he's done well in the Bentley, as has Niall Cox. Obviously he's made up quite a lot of paces. So in terms of race pace, it's been really good. Obviously we did have a wet qualifying, so that maybe have affected the Bentley tyres a bit more than the others. Especially if they haven't managed to get any wet practice in. But they've done well in terms of race pace, and Clive Bainey now a little bit further behind Megan Mitchell than he was, where Leach is only 2.4 seconds behind. So battle for P5 isn't over yet. I don't think James Mead and Sam Spenklink will be battling towards the end of the race. So, there's a good 5 seconds, I think it is, in terms of their gap. 8 seconds. That's going to take a bit of doing by Spenklink, but it's possible. I think we saw it in the GT4 race last time out, that Aaron Walker managed to close in quite rapidly at the end of the race due to with tyre wear, and so that's still possible, especially if they cut their tyres at the start of the stint. Absolutely,
yeah. I remember that last half of the race in the GT4 series 2 weeks ago from Aaron Walker. He managed to close that gap down to got down in the closing stages, and I think he just ran out of time. If he had more time, he could have possibly taken the win, but yeah, it's I think Aaron Walker was down to race tonight, but he had to side out, unfortunately. But hopefully he should be back for the next round. But still, it's 26 cars that turned up tonight, which is still a good, actually 24 cars I should say, or it was 24 or 26, but still a good healthy turnout of cars for Indianapolis tonight. And so some people, when it comes to this track and the layout, some people, it's one of those Marmite tracks, if you like it. Some people love it or hate it. Me personally, I love it. It's just one of those tracks that I've always enjoyed lapping around on any platform. It's just, even on the oval or on the road layout, it's just one of those tracks that I could just lap around all day. But if it came to the favourite American track overall, I would probably say my favourite has got to be Watkins Glen.
Oh, there's lots. Virginia International Raceway is an awesome track. You just don't want to get lost on the infield because there's no barriers anywhere. The Road America, Road Atlanta, there is some fantastic American tracks. Sebring obviously is. I think Sebring is probably the track that I like the most. It's such a challenge, and that last corner as well in very stiffly springed cars. You're minutes, seconds away from having a big incident in that last corner. So let's hope Kunos brings some of those other tracks that are in the American series to the game, because it's and the sim. It'll be a shame just to only have the two that we've got currently.
Absolutely, it was like
three. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say it's a good shout with Sebring. That's one of my favourite tracks. I always enjoy lapping around there, just because it's such a fun challenge, and also Sebring as well. But some people might not know about it. It used to be an old airbase, but it's never really been changed, and it's still got that bumpy nature to the track. And I have to agree, I like the final corner and the turn one as well, just because it's so bumpy that you're turning at the same time over the bumps, and it just gives your arms a good workout.
Yeah, turn one's awesome, especially because it's got that nice raised curve. You just lean on it. You use it as basically a way to stop your car from sliding off into the grass. But yeah, it's definitely a as we see somebody going off. Is that Rich Pixley again? Who's managed to find the barrier.
Yeah, it's not been the best of races for Richard Pixley. He had a decent start to the race, but it's been a bit up and down for him, and I think he'll probably be feeling frustrated. But looking at 18th place and Chris Pinspike at the moment, still running well, and it's running 6th in the silver class at the moment, so still going, and had a couple of incidents, I believe, from what I remember, but still going and still running well in class, and he'll still pick up a good handful of points. So Chris Pinspike is probably a little bit frustrated he's not up in the top 3 in class, but still 6th place and a good haul of points for him in the championship. But I think he's probably just it looks like we've got a replay of Chris Pinspike as well. It looks like he's had another issue, and starts to break, and it looks like he might have clips the curb. Nothing happens there. It looks like he just took too much of that inside curb, and it's just unsettled the car.
Yeah, as we saw from my incident at Watkins Glen in turn 1, it's the car just sort of loses a little bit of traction on the rear, and then can give you that little, either a really big snap back or a little snap. And luckily Chris just had a tiny snap there. It did push him round, but it didn't run too far off onto the grass, so he can regroup and carry on. But it's unfortunate because obviously he was putting a lot of pressure on Wilkes there in P3 for class. He'll be disappointed that happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look further up the part in the midfield, we've got this battle for 11th and 12th going on between Marius and De Swart. Both of these guys actually battling for the class lead, so De Swart is closed up to the back of Marius, and I think if De Swart sees an opportunity, especially down the home straight, and he gets close enough, I think he'll probably send it up the inside into turn 1 if he gets an opportunity. But just in front of him, it looks like they're catching up to Matt Tubby as well, so that Matt Tubby's starting to fall into the clutches of Marius.
Yeah, it's really heating up at the in the midfield for the silver class win, and this doesn't look like it's actually going to end anytime soon. And obviously Tubby's not in the race, but he's sort of getting in the way of the race, as it were. But he's not going to lose a position in terms of his overall position. But Wojciech in P13 there is obviously Tubby's next opponent potentially, but he's still a bit too far back. So these guys are racing for the class lead. They need to be mindful that the guy in front doesn't actually get in the way.
Absolutely, and there's battle for the class lead going on, and they've got. I think Tubby needs to. I have to agree. Tubby needs to be mindful that these guys are battling for the class lead, so. Probably doesn't want to, but I think it looks like Deswart, as I say that, has got a run on the Marius heading down to turn 1, and Marius tries to defend the inside line. He leaves a bit of a gap open, and I thought there was going to be a bit of contact there, and it looks like Marius runs wide ever so slightly.
Yeah, that was good. That was good defending. Giving people the option to go inside or outside, but the option of going inside was very. It's a little bit of a tap, and Deswart's waiting there for Marius to. Looks like he's going to wait for him to go round. As Wojciech then gets past, so he's going to get on up the road after Tubby for the class position, whereas Wilkes now will possibly be quite close behind after they've got going. So it says 14 seconds, but I suspect it'll be a bit quicker, a bit closer than that.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a good sportsmanship from Deswart as well. He realised that it was a bit optimistic that move, and they just tapped Marius ever so slightly, but allowed Marius back in front to retake that position, and good respectful driving there, and good sportsmanship. But as just coming up to pretty much the final 23 minutes of this race, and again this battle for the class leaders is about to spice up yet again, but Barney as well. Actually, Barney, as I say that, is closed right up to Regan Mitchell, and Mitchell in front of him. He's got a couple of bar markers he's got a few bar markers actually, as I say that, in front of him. So this could be a big factor here.
Yeah, he's going to be praying to himself that these back markers are going to get out of the way, but they're all racing as well. They don't want to lose position, as the Audi there just does actually do that. So fair play. I think that's Dan Lenson, I think, just ahead of him as well now. So he's going to be hoping that Dan's going to yield for blue flags, which we do expect the drivers to do in our series at the safest opportunity. Looks like Lenson hopefully isn't going to defend the position because he's obviously under blue, so he should be allowing Regan to go past, and probably should have just been lifting off completely to allow Bainey to get past as well. But obviously he's got a car directly behind which he's battling with, so that's going to be pretty difficult to do. But he does let him past, and he's not really lost too much there. But see what the timing tower says in terms of the time now between him and Regan Mitchell. So I suspect he's possibly lost a second and a half there. It actually looks a bit further than I thought it was. Half a second.
Yep, then there's battle for 8th place between it looks like Luca Felipe, and it was I thought it was Dave Jr. in the background there, but it looks like Nard Cox and Luca Felipe battling away for 7th and 8th, and these guys, I've been watching them for a few laps now. They've been really close together, and it's just that Felipe has not been close enough to try and make a move. And again, Felipe runs slightly wide in the entry there and tries to get a bit of use that to carry a bit of momentum, and needs to get a good exit here. As he gets a bit sketchy and twitchy there, but just can't get on the power, and that's cost him a little bit here. Those touches of Nard Cox, but I think Felipe, his best opportunity if he can get a good exit is onto that home straight, and Nard Cox in the Bentley as well doing a good job.
Yeah, some good defending there, and good racing from everybody. He's still got that Honda hooked up by the looks of things, so as we know, it's pretty quick down the straight. But as Felipe, as he set the car up with less downforce than I think it was Leach, wasn't it, who was looking like he was struggling a little bit against the Bentley and the Audi.
Yeah, absolutely, and Felipe again trying to get close enough to to Cox in front of him, but actually there's a little bit of touch here on the exit, heading onto the home straight, and just can't get close enough. So it looks like these guys are both evenly matched for straight line speed, but I think maybe Felipe's maybe waiting until the closing stages to try and make a move, and they just let Cox think that he's not going to make a move. But further back behind them, they've got the battle for the class lead still going on between Marius and De Swart, and De Swart again is closed right back up to the rear of Marius, and I think De Swart's best opportunity, if he can get a good exit or carry the momentum onto the home straight, he might be able to try and make a move heading down to turn 1, but it looks like he always compromises his exit there.
Yeah, and the car behind could actually get a decent run down the start-finish straight here, so is he going to get anywhere near? It doesn't look like it, so De Swart's just going to have to hold station there with Marius and see if he can make an impact for the rest of the lap, and actually try and get close enough to actually get a decent tow. As we see Clyde Bainey just getting past one of the back markers there, so Clyde's now taken another 0.2 out of Regan, which possibly could have been the back marker of getting in Regan's way. But yeah, there's who's that in front of Regan? Is that Nathan Pearce potentially? Is that just coming into play? So again, another back marker potentially. Yes, yeah, he looks like he's really getting in the way there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's Nathan Pearce by the looks of it, and he's not helping Regan Mitchell by any means, and Pearce tries to get out of the way as quickly as possible, but that's cost Mitchell a few tenths at least, and it's allowed Barney to close back up to the rear of Mitchell, but back markers not getting in the way, I would say. But I have to say, in the defence of back markers, trying to get out of the way, especially in that section of the Indianapolis road course, it's so difficult to get the way because there's not really anywhere to go. There's a couple of cars spun in the background there.
That was Pearce, and was that Sandoval as well. Obviously not for position, but in overall position, yes, they were racing. But that's maybe why Nathan wasn't wanting to make it too easy for the leaders to go through, because you had somebody that was pretty much really close behind in terms of overall position. As we see Dennis Swart, who's got the run on Marius into turn 1, but not quite. So is he going to get the switch back? It doesn't look like the Audi's just quite got enough drive out of the turn 2, which is a strength of the Honda. It's got very good drive, especially if you're using map 3 or 4, which tend to be the ones that are the quickest, but can be quite aggressive if you haven't got good throttle control.
Absolutely, it was like Marius just trying to hold on as long as possible. De Swart, I think he just basically needs to try and send it if he gets an opportunity. He keeps getting close to Marius, but again, it's just a case of just trying to get by and trying to see if there's an opportunity. But the straight line speed of that Honda, it just seems to be what's keeping Marius in front of De Swart, and De Swart clips the grass slightly there as well, so just cost himself a tenth or two there. But Marius not doing a good defensive job and not letting the pressure get to him. But it looks like we might have a change for second places, talking about positions, and Barney is all over the back of Mitchell now.
Yeah, it looks like he's just trying to set him up just to get in close into turn 11, 12, and try to get the run on Mitchell down the straight. But it looked like got a little bit twitchy there into out of turn 10. So he's not quite close enough, I don't think, to actually get a decent drive. Although he's actually quite close. So if you can stay right behind Regan Mitchell into turn 12 and out of turn 13 into 14, then he's definitely got a chance into turn 1. But it looks like Regan's got great drive out of the last corner. So again, it might be holding stations, although it's definitely making inroads down the straight. So is he going to make a late braking move? He's certainly moving out to just to show his nose to Regan Mitchell, but certainly not close enough this time round.
Yeah, I think Barney just trying to intimidate Mitchell at this point of the race, as we're just about to come up to just under 16 minutes remaining in this race, and Mitchell, I think I don't know if Mitchell's struggling with tyres. Maybe his tyre pressures have started dropping off slightly, and I have noticed as well that as soon as the tyre pressure starts dropping off, the pace seems to drop off as well. So maybe that's something that Mitchell's struggling with, or maybe just Barney's just maybe seems to be more suited to these track conditions. The temperature at the moment, ambient temperature is 24 degrees, and the track temperature is 28 degrees. So it's a warm track, but it's not like scorching hot. So maybe Mitchell's setup's not suiting these track conditions at this time.
Yeah, we saw about 3 degrees difference to what it was at the start of the race. So if you have only set your tyres up for the 31 degrees, then you might be out of pressure range, which is quite tight on these tyres. But everybody's in the same situation potentially if they don't get the tyres set right. But again, Kite is trying to put the pressure on into turn one. It looks like Regan had a better last turn there to actually get out. And Danny Sports still putting pressure on Marius here, and he certainly looks like he's a lot closer now. And into the midfield section, he's going to get the opportunity into turn 8, I think it is, in the back straight.
As we look at, excuse me, as we look at the battle for 13th place at the moment between the Marius and the Swart still going on at the moment, and the Swart again is really close now, but it's just a case of trying to get by, especially similar to Barney as well. He keeps getting close to Mitchell, just can't get the move done, and I think Barney's best opportunity is at home straight. If he gets a good exit and tries to carry that momentum and speed down the straight, he could try and get the move done into turn 1. But I don't think Mitchell's going to let him go by that easy if he does get an opportunity.
No, for sure. He's obviously Regan's still looking for his first SSRi win, and he's getting closer and closer. He's obviously managed a couple of seconds now, which he's broken the third place duck that he was. Not the third place duck, but the third place voodoo that he was having. Is looking like he's just biding his position there, just making sure he stays close to Regan, and looks like he's definitely close to this lap round to Regan in terms of getting out onto turn 14 and out onto the main straight. So he's again, Regan's just managed to get a great drive out of that last corner.
Yeah, absolutely. The Regan got a great exit there, and Barney just get close enough, and I think Barney might be getting a little bit frustrated now. He knows he's quicker than Mitchell, but he just can't seem to get by. And the battle for the class lead in silver is still going on, and the Swart just about had another bit of contact with Marius, but they thankfully backed out of it, and both of them managed to survive. But the Swart's got the run that Marius is going to try and send it up the inside. He's thinking about it. Is he going to go up the inside? He's thinking about it, and Marius leaves just enough room, and this might give the opportunity to Swart to try and go through and take the class lead. Can he get it done? Yes, he can. Fantastic.
Yeah, he just gave enough thought in Marius's mind that he was going to put one up the inside, but in reality, he probably wasn't enough up the inside to actually for Marius to give him room. So, good racing again, but I think. De Swart really showed what you can do by just making the other driver think that you could be doing something that you might not actually be doing, and it puts them off enough to get the move done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think De Swart, he didn't mean to try and stick his nose in there. Maybe he did, but maybe just to try and intimidate Marius here. But it seemed to work because he's took the class lead now. And then the battle for 17th is going on between Glen and Valley as well. So, Andreas Glen and it looks like Lenson. So both of them battling away, and it looks like we've got a battle for 18th and 19th going on, or 19th and 20th. Between Planus and Van de Kraan. So plenty of action going on as we come to the closing stages of this race, and. Looks like we've got a move going on. Gallon trying to make a move heading down to turn 1. He's going to try and go on the outside of Lenson. It looks like he might try and get the move done. Can he carry the momentum? Lenson just about leaves enough room, and Andreas needs to try and hold it on the outside if he can. Try and find some grip on the outside, then carry that momentum on the outside as well. Can he get the move done? Oh, Andreas just gets sideways there, and Lenson again takes the position, but Andreas is not giving up.
Yeah, so we've seen a few moves like that, haven't we, today around the outside of the first infield section. It seems to be a pretty good amount of grip around there. So a good move there. Good respectful racing. Before we get to the end of the race, just want to have a quick comment about if you do want to get involved in any of the races that we are running, then please do join our Discord and just ask in terms of how to get involved, and everyone will help you out. We've got two series currently with GT4s and GT3s in ACC, and we're also running a 2.4-hour team endurance series, which on Friday night this week is a race around Zandvoort for 2.4 hours. Currently got another 4 rounds to go on that one, but you can enter and join the racing on Friday night. We're also running a race room DTM series on a Thursday night every 2 weeks, which is proving very popular, with some great rings involved in that, with culminating in the Nordschleife with the DTM. So that's going to be an interesting race. Sorry, it's not culminating. It's actually on the 3rd of November. So, but we've got lots of Saxon Ring, I think, is the next race for the DTM. So if you do fancy a bit of race room, get involved and get onto SGP and enter the series.
Yeah, but absolutely, I can back up as well. If you want to get, like Dave says, if you want to get involved, then I would recommend it. The community's friendly, everyone's helpful, and there's always racing going on any platform. So get involved if you fancy signing up. But as they're coming up to the final 8 minutes and 50 seconds remaining in this race, and we've got plenty of battles going on. They've got a battle for 6th place going on now between Ryan Leach and Nathan Cox and Luca Felipe as well. So the action's starting to spice up here as we come to the close of stages. And I think Ryan Leach, I thought, was as well at one point after the pit stops, was in a bit of a comfortable margin by himself. He wasn't really under attack from anyone, but it looks like Nard Cox has got his head down, and they started putting in some quick laps, and he's starting to close up to the rear of Ryan Leach.
Yeah, that race pace in that Bentley's, it's awesome by the looks of things, and Sem and Nard look like they've got a good race car. So it's as you said, they've really closed in on Leach there at the back end of the race, and as we still see Clyde really putting pressure on the Regan Mitchell in terms of the second position on the podium, and he's just sort of looked like him being so aggressive, but in terms of the way he's handling the car and really trying to put the pressure on Regan. Now, Regan's a very cool customer, and as we've seen in the GT4s where he's racing the Maseratis, he's got some excellent car control, and you won't be phased too much by Clyde putting that pressure on him. But it takes a lot of concentration for sure to keep someone behind you for that long. Yeah,
absolutely, and it's a good defensive job from Regan as well. But this battle going on between Cox and Felipe, Ryan Leach has managed to pull away slightly, leaving these guys behind to scrap them up themselves. And it looked like at one point Felipe was going to get a move done on Cox, but Cox held his ground and didn't let him go by. But look at the battle for 3rd place again for the final. No, I was going to say the second step on the podium, I should say, between Mitchell and Barney. Barney again keeps getting close, but he just can't get the move done, and it looks like again Mitchell has got a great run onto the home straight, just doing enough to stay ahead of Barney, and Barney getting closer and closer and closer as they head down to turn 1. Is he going to try and throttle the inside? I don't think he is. Just pulling out to show he's there and trying and maybe just unsettle Mitchell, but again Mitchell's doing everything he needs to do to stay in front as we come to the closing stages of this race. But I think if I'm Barney, I'll be starting to get a little bit frustrated.
Yeah, I think Regan's certainly going to be looking at it, and he's been behind him long enough now that Regan's going to know where the strengths are of Clyde's lap. when we had Jensen Button racing with us a few months back, well, probably sometime during the pandemic, he said that it's better to get the moves done early, because then the other drivers don't learn where your strengths are and where you're quick, where you're slow. So sometimes it makes sense to maybe make a little bit of a lunge, not being unsafe, but just to try and unsettle the other driver. But as I said, Regan's definitely a cool customer. So as we come round up into turn 12, close, a little bit further behind, but it's like he's quite good on the brakes, and Regan runs a bit wide there, so this could be a close chance. He looks at the inside, but thinks better of it to try and get a little bit of a switchback, get onto the power earlier than Regan. And again, it looks like Regan's got excellent driving, though he was offline there really. It's Clyde actually got legs in terms of getting back up onto the inside of Regan into turn 1.
Absolutely. I don't know if Regan's maybe carrying a little bit more wing in that car, because he seems to be getting a good exit there on that long right-hander. He seems to be able to carry so much momentum there. So I don't know if Regan's running slightly more wing, or if it's just maybe just got better mechanical grip possibly. But still, the battle for second at the bottom of the screen still going on, and this battle for 7th place going on as well with Cox and Felipe, and they've caught back up to Ryan Leitch as well in the 771 Honda as they head down to turn 1. Leitch tries to hold the inside line, and Cox tries to go on the outside, but can't hold the momentum, can't get it done.
Yeah, Nard's got to be careful that he's making moves that potentially is going to give Felipe the opportunity to make a move himself, whereas it looks like Felipe just got a little bit squirrely there on his rear end, and now pulled back again. So Nard's got the opportunity now to get back up on the tail of Leitch and have another go, but he's only got one, maybe 2 laps potentially before the end of the race. So he's got to make his move soon, otherwise he's going to be sitting in P7 for the rest of the evening.
Absolutely, as we've got about coming up to 3.5 minutes left in this race, so I'm probably guessing about two more laps remaining. So, but these guys are pretty much running out of time to try and make moves, especially Nard Cox trying to make a move on Ryan Leitch, but it looks like we've got a move going on into turn 1 possibly. Barney tries to go on the outside into turn 1 and can't get the move done. Again, Mitchell doing everything he needs to do, keeping ahead of Barney to try and hold on to that second place, but Barney's starting to get the elbows out now and trying to he's starting to be a bit more eager now, trying to get by Mitchell, but credit to Mitchell, not letting the pressure get to him, and he's not feeling intimidated.
Yeah, it's certainly different to what we've seen in those moves into the infield last time. Clyde he allowed Regan to stay on the inside and not sort of release the brakes, so he managed to hold the outside, which obviously is how other people have got past, by holding the outside line. Maybe into the last lap he might have learned from that, and maybe just if you can get that onto the outside of that car, because obviously Regan's going to go to the inside every time to defend, so he's really got to try and make that outside line stick.
Absolutely, as is looking at the battle for second and third place going on, heading down to the final few corners, and Barney needs to try and do a little bit of a late apex here up to this left-hander, try and take a late turn in and try and get back on the power early. But again, Mitchell's got a great exit there, carrying that momentum down the home straight, and Barney, he's going to get close, but he's not going to be close enough to make the move, because looking at Simon Wilkes, currently third in the silver class, trying to make a move on Marius for second place, and Marius is actually falling off the lead. Oh, that was so close.
Yeah, I've just wondered what's happened behind with Barney, and they come together, and hopefully they're not going to get in the way of the podium position runners who are directly behind them. As Marius looks like that was close, Luke. That was very close there, and Barney obviously didn't manage to get past Regan down the start-finish straight. So actually, I think we might actually get another lap in, which as Felipe is coming in the pits. I wonder why that is.
I wonder if that's I wonder if he's miscalculated his fuel.
Yeah, it could be. That'd be the only reason for a stop. He wasn't involved in an incident, so yeah, it's a costly mistake. Not taking enough fuel. He's only going to be putting in probably 3 or 4 litres maximum to get to the end of the race.
Absolutely, you've got another lap to go, and Jonathan Saville's coming round the final few corners to start what will be the last lap. So Jonathan Saville has pretty much been in command yet again, and pretty much been on good form at the moment. And Regan Mitchell and I think Clayton Barnier as well will probably be kicking themselves, because this could have been a perfect opportunity for them to try and challenge Saville. But still, this battle for second place heading on to the home straight, coming across to start the final lap, and Barry's getting closer and closer in that slipstream. But again, he's not going to be close enough to make him move into turn 1. I'll be surprised if he lunges up inside, but again, it's not close enough, so he decides to be sensible and not make any silly moves. But looking at Simon Wilkes, put Tim Marius under pressure, so it looks like Wilkes let Marius back by to retake that position in the class. But Danny Swartz pulled away from these guys behind him, so Marius is starting to struggle by the looks of it, and Wilkes is trying to make a move, and it's going to be a case of where can he try and make the move. But still, it's been fantastic racing it either way, and I think it looks like the class the class battle for the lead has settled down, but second and third place in class and second and third place overall is still going on.
Yeah, I think Johnny Seville up in P1 he's put in the laps early in his stint, got the gap, and then he's just literally rested on his not rested on his laurels, but really managed his pace as he comes into turn 12 and 13, almost out onto the start finish straight into turn 14 now, and looks like he's only got one corner to go and the race win.
Yep, so Jonathan Saville is going to come across the line, and he's going to make it 3 from 3. So 3 wins in the championship for Saville, and they pretty much he's going to have a commanding lead in the championship. But second and third place is going to the line, and it looks like Regan Mitchell is going to hold on for second place, and Clayton Barney is going to round out the top 3 in third place.
Yeah, it was close. I think if there was another lap, it looked like Clyde had got the run on Regan, and he probably would have got past him. But yeah, that was good racing. At the end of the race there, obviously the tyres are going to be very second hand by the time 45 minutes goes by. It looks like he's just run on at the end of the race there. Mark Cox and Leach still battling, and this is coming around into the last corner. So yeah, Narcox isn't quite close enough, and he's got his hazard lights, warning lights on there, just to make sure that everyone's aware that it's the end of the race.
Yep, so everyone's coming across the line now, and Jonathan Saville's going to take the win overall, and in the silver class, it's going to be Danny Swart. It takes the win from Tim Marius and Simon Wilkes, and looking at 10th place Vincent Vilsack as well, coming around to the final few corners as well. Right behind him, he's got it looks like, is that Danny Swart? Yeah, it is Danny Swart. So the Swart is closed massively on Vilsack as they come round to the final couple of corners. But looks like Vilsack's going to hold on to that 10th position.
Yeah, obviously, he's got the P1 in class anyway, so he's going to be scoring maximum points for the class win, and he just comes across the line there. Is that Tubby that's decided to have a bit of a moment on the start finish straight, and as Wojciech decides that he's just going to stop on the stop after the finish line, maybe run out of fuel. So yeah, excellent races then tonight, Ryan. It's been great through the field. Obviously, Jonathan Seville looks like he's been under the race has been under control. I think the battling between Regan and Clyde has probably allowed him to get away, which has just meant it's been a bit easier for him this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. As just looking at the highlights there as well on the screen right now, and it's been a great race. It went a lot better than I thought it would. I was expecting there to be a little bit more mayhem, especially here in turn 1 on lap 1. There was just everyone was so bunched up, and actually everyone was really sensible. Yeah, we had that little incident with several cars involved halfway around lap 1, but still great race nevertheless, and Jonathan Saville pretty much continuing his form from round 1 and 2, making it 3 from 3. But the battle for second place between Barney and Mitchell and Barney rather was fantastic stuff in the closing stages. But overall, another great race in the series, and it's part of the reason, or it's showing and proving why I'm enjoying calling the series, because there's just so much close racing throughout the field, not just up at the front, but in the midfield and also in the silver class as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we have the top 2 currently in the commentary booth with us. So, Jonathan, well done. Excellent race this evening. Just let us know how that went. It looked like obviously Clyde got a bit of a jump on you at the start, but I'm not sure if he made a mistake to allow you past, but then you built that lead and really didn't look back.
Yeah, I thought it was quite an equal jump at the start between, I think, top 4 of us. I think we all got quite an equal start, but yeah, Barney was able to get past me into turn 1, and then I managed to get it back on the I had a good run coming out of the corner before the back straight, and managed to get alongside into the corner at the end of there, and then we went side by side for a few corners, and I managed to get the move back. There's a couple of taps in there, but I don't think there was anything I don't know, it just felt like hard racing. But yeah, managed to get it back, and then just tried to run away, basically, which I think I managed. Although it felt like Regan and Barney were catching me a little bit towards the end of the race, because I was struggling a little bit with my tyres. But yeah, it was enough to take the win. So yeah, pretty pleased.
Yeah, it looked like you got sort of 10, 11 seconds out, and yeah, that was pretty much where it stayed. So we thought maybe you'd be managing your tyres a little bit, but clearly you are pushing most of the time, and you can't really rest on your laurels, really, can you? But I think in terms of into the first infield section, we see a lot of cars actually making moves and holding moves on the outside. Is that something you've seen happen before in races, where people use the outside line, and as long as they can hold it into turn 2, they've got the advantage around most of the track?
Well, I mean, Barney managed, at least at turn 1, he managed to hang it around the outside of me there, and then he's got a very good advantage going into turn 2. So I had no chance of holding it alongside into turn 2. I mean, when we were battling and when I got the move back, we were side by side for a few different corners, and actually I think it's quite, I don't know, there's quite a few corners which are quite good for setting up overtakes into the next one. So yeah, it seems a decent track for racing, in my opinion. Yeah.
Good. So on to the next race, which I think is Zolder. So that's going to be an interesting one. How do you go at Zolder with the Honda? Is it?
Never driven it there. So I have no idea. I'm not a particularly big fan of the track, but I don't know, massive curbs, and I don't know, you just in ACC it tends to be you just gotta smash it over that first chicane, which just doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel quite right. And it's, I don't know, I've had cars where you clip it slightly wrong and then it just wants to spin you. But I don't know, I don't particularly like the track, but I'm not a clue what the Honda's like there, so I don't know, really.
Yeah, I guess its strengths are, it's pretty good top end, isn't it? And it seems to be good out the corners, especially turn 14 here. It seems to have really good drive. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, just final congratulations on the race win tonight.
Thank you very much.
So Regan, P2 again, unfortunately, but it looks like you had a good race with Clyde, and the all important jump. Certainly Ryan and I commented that you must have had the almost perfect pit stop there.
Yeah, I'll take second over third or anything below, to be honest. So I don't mind. But yeah, I did have pretty perfect pit stop. I could have gone an extra lap, but I saw Barney caught up to a back marker, and I didn't want any of that. So if I had to guess, that's why I got the jump in the pit stops. That'll be why. And yeah, just managed to hold it to the end.
It always looked like you seem to have the better drive out of turn 13, 14 onto the back straight. Obviously, really putting the pressure on at the end of the race there. But I think looking at the split after at the finish of the race there, you probably one more lap. He might have actually been coming up past you on that last lap potentially.
Yeah, he had every lap I was worried about him probably getting a run. If I had made a big mistake, then it was over, which I nearly did quite a few laps earlier, which is how he got onto the back of me anyway. So just holding on for dear life, and then got to the end.
Yeah, no, it was excellent result, mate, and some very good close racing. So onwards to Zolder. Have you done any running at Zolder in the Japanese machine?
No, but if I had to guess, mid-engine car and the Zolder curbs, it's not going to be that fun. So still try.
We say that, but the Audi was always very good there, as long as you made sure you hit the sausage curb on the first chicane in the right way. Otherwise, you were basically into oblivion. So that one's going to be interesting to see. Make sure you run it high. Cool. Well done today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Clyde, excellent race there. Unfortunately, only P3, but some good racing with Regan. And what happened in the pit phase there? Did you get held up by the back marker?
No, I just missed my markers. That cost me, I think, about 3-4 seconds, which was just fortunate, which got me behind the P3. At least today was a good battle. I think something enjoyable for the stream as well. But a bit frustrated with the result, happy with the battle. I mean, in the first stint, I think my pace with Regan was very similar. Whereas in the second stint, I felt that my tires held up better, and I knew that if I was able to get past Regan, I would have been able to just clear him. But it's one thing to get close to someone, it's one thing to pass someone, of course. And to be fair to Regan, he drove absolutely brilliantly. He made some small errors which allowed me to be alongside, but that was just it. He just defended well.
Yeah, we obviously saw you get the run on Jonathan into turn 1 at the start of the race, and made sure that you held the outside line, which obviously gave you the opportunity to get past. I was half expecting you to do the same with Regan at the second to last lap there, but you obviously looked like you tried the switch back, but which didn't quite come off because Regan always seemed to have very good drive. I don't know if he was running maybe a little bit more wing than you.
I was on max wing, that was not necessarily the issue, but I tried it around the outside, but there was just no grip there. I think maybe because of the marbles as well, which get there after 1.5 hours of racing, so I guess there was less grip there. That lap 1 because I just tried the exact same thing, but Regan was on the right line. With Seville, got pushed up a bit, but that's also rubbing this racing, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, obviously Jonathan mentioned that there was good strong racing at the start there, and obviously he was thinking that it wasn't too over the line or even close to it. So but it's good racing. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, good. So just on to the next race. Have you done any running at Zolder in the
No, not at all. I think it's been a while since I've driven in Zolder, but I'll have the week before, so should be plenty of time to get good. And at least it seems like the Hondas in general are close to there. Maybe the Bentleys will be up there as well there. So I think it should be an entertaining race. Even I hope it rains there because it definitely needs it.
Well, we'll see. Obviously, what we'll be doing is, as we, just so everyone on the stream know that we do look at the forecasts 2 weeks ahead, and unfortunately, they can be a little bit variable 2 weeks, but just to give everybody the opportunity to practice on the race servers, then we set the weather at 2 weeks ahead, and that doesn't change then. So who knows? It might be raining in Zolder at the moment.
I mean,
2 weeks.
It's raining quite a lot in the Netherlands at this time of the year, so I mean, fingers crossed. Yeah,
it's always good to see that wind turbine going in the rain. So well done, everybody, and see you next time for Zolder at GT3s. Back over to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Dave. And that was I really enjoyed that race. That race was fantastic to watch. Great battles throughout the field, and battles for the class winning silver, battles for second and third overall, and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway yet again. The road course layout, it throws up fantastic racing, and tonight proved no exception.
Yeah, it was excellent racing, and again, good, nice and respectful, which is always good to see. Obviously, you do get incidents in every race. We see that a lot in real life. Certainly been some humdingers this year in the World GT class. So we've not seen too many of those in our racing series. So as we said earlier, if you want to come along and join racing, do come along, join the Discord channel. Links in the video below, the text below the video, and just say hi. And people are very respectful and very welcoming into the community. So do join us and have some fun.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's just about it from me, Dave, tonight, and also Tom on the cameras. But if you're looking to watch some more GT action, the GT4 series takes place next Tuesday. So if you're looking to watch that, tune in on the SSR or Simsport Racing International YouTube channel to watch that. I'll be calling the action alongside our very own Sam Pierce. So yeah, thanks to anyone that's been watching tonight, and we will see you next time. Take care and good night.